Brazilian footballing fans have many things to be excited about, with Vinicius Jr. reportedly receiving news that he will be the 2024 Ballon d'Or winner, with Rodri getting a season-ending injury. He would be the first Brazilian winner since Kaká's legendary run in 2007 with Milan. And even though things don't look the best for the national team, their national league called the Brasileiro is in the most crucial moments of the entire season. And this time I want to start off with Corinthians, because although they may be historically great, this league season for them has been really shaky. They are currently in the midst of a relegation battle, but their form is looking like it's going to be better, as they won against Flamingo, one of the sides challenging for the top 4, and then easily dispatched last place team Atletico Go 3-0. But although they are currently in their last relegation spot, they have progressed to 2 semifinals in different competitions. First winning against title hopefuls Fortaleza in the Sudamericana, which is the South American Europa League. Corinthians would demolish them over 2 legs, winning 5-0, and now they have to face off against Racing Club, a historic Argentine club. However, in the league they aren't in the best form, as after 15 matches only being 8th, so Corinthians have a big chance to get to the final. And talking about the Brazilian Cup, they will be playing Flamingo once again, and I'm gonna give my prediction on it, because I think they'll reach the Sudamericana final, but lose in the Brazilian Cup. And I just can't believe a team in the relegation battle has a possibility to win 2 trophies. And I don't understand why they don't utilize Memphis Depay more, as he is coming off the bench in the last 20 minutes or so. I mean, this guy is literally your biggest name, and he absolutely has more than enough quality. And I'm sure such a player doesn't have a cheap contract either. Anyways, do you know who Corinthians' opponent would be in the Sudamericana final? Well, it could be another Brazilian team, as Cruzeiro find themselves in the semifinal going against another Argentinian side known as Lanús. And I don't want to underestimate them here, but I do believe that Cruzeiro will reach the final, and it will be an insane all-Brazilian final with 2 giants of the Brazilian league going at it. And talking about Cruzeiro, they just got their new manager Fernando Diniz, who just won the Libertadores with Fluminese last season. And although he had an unsuccessful time managing the national team, he is a really good coach that fits the Brazilian league perfectly, as his style of play allows the players to connect with 1-2 balls, and allows for beautiful plays, just like this one against one of the world's best sides in Manchester City. However, the reason he was sacked by Fluminese just a season after winning South America's biggest competition is because of the very poor form Fluminese have this season in the league. Despite reaching the Libertadores quarterfinals before losing to Atletico Mineiro, they had find themselves below Corinthians and are in a real threat of relegation. And with the squad, with the likes of veteran Thiago Silva and Brasileiro star John Arias, they have to escape relegation with this side. And I think they will. But a team who seemingly won't escape is Cuiabá, and man, their project finally fails. After years of staying in the first division on a very low budget compared to the rest of the league, the team who was just founded 20 years ago falls to the second division. But their backroom management is just too good, so I think that they will come back sooner rather than later. But now, let's skip up the table all the way to 9th place, where we find Atletico Mineiro. They already won some silverware this season by beating Cruzeiro in the State Cup final, and they have a big chance to win the Libertadores 10 years after winning their last one, as they knocked out Fluminese, but they have a big test. Playing the semifinals against Argentinian giants River Plate, it will certainly be a hard matchup over 2 legs. And surprisingly, their squad might even win 3 trophies, as they have been playing excellent in the Brazilian Cup as well, knocking out giant Sao Paulo due to a 92nd minute goal in the first leg, and now they'll be playing Vasco da Gama in the semis. Vasco isn't some pushover either, but they are just below Mineiro in the league by just 3 points, so that is a very even matchup, and it could go either way. And right above them is a team we briefly talked about, Cruzeiro, who finds themselves in 7th place, pushing to return to the Libertadores after their horrible relegation a couple seasons ago. This season for them has been quite an inconsistent one, being knocked out of the Brazilian Cup in the first round by a 3rd division team. Their league form has certainly been better though, and in the Sudamericana, they will be pushing to get a title that they haven't gotten since 1997, and it would be their first ever Sudamericana. But enough about mid-table and relegation. Let's get into the top of the table where things are getting really spicy. Bahia in 6th place is owned by the City Group as they try to expand their domination to Brazil, and it's a slow and steady process. Getting knocked out of the Brazilian Cup by Flamingo in the quarters, they only have the league to focus on, and it would be a big step in the right direction to get this team qualified for the Libertadores. And right above them, well, we have Sao Paulo, and they have certainly had a chaotic month. Although in 5th place, they would lose in both the Brazilian Cup and the Libertadores. losing by 1 to Atletico Mineiro as I said before, but it would be a nail-biter Botafogo match in the quarterfinals of the Libertadores, which would really sting. As the first leg would finish off scoreless, the second leg saw Sao Paulo score an 87th minute goal to bring the match to a penalty shootout. And you know just how unlucky penalties could be, as they would miss their first one, but were able to bring it back. However, they would miss their last one as well, and that had to hurt. But who knows, this might be a blessing in disguise for their top 4 hopes, as they are trailing close by to Flamingo. And although they couldn't get any silverware from these competitions, it's still a successful season for them, as they just become the only team in Brazil to have won every competition possible, finishing off the trophy cabinet by bringing in the Brazilian Super Cup. And hey, they were mid-table last season, so jumping up like 10 spots this year can't be seen as a failure. They are finally looking like themselves again. Right above them is Flamingo, and with the game in hand, they are holding on to 4th place by a thread. And for Flamingo fans, it has been a very frustrating couple of weeks, as although they progressed to the Brazilian Cup semifinals by beating Bahia pretty easily, winning 1-0 in both legs, their Libertadores situation is, well, almost embarrassing, as they faced off against Peñarol, a Uruguayan team who, although has won the competition 5 times, their last triumph would come in the 1987 season. So they're not really the favorites they used to be, because the financial differences between the Brazilian league and the Uruguayan one is huge. Anyways, in front of 60,000 Flamengo fans, Peñarol was able to win 1-0, even though Flamengo had 20 shots and 76% possession, and it wasn't enough. A lot of people would say that Flamengo would destroy them in Uruguay, and it seemed that way once again, but Flamengo just couldn't get the job done. As even though they would dominate possession and have a lot of momentum, they just couldn't score, and Peñarol would pull off a huge upset, winning 1-0 on aggregate in their home stadium, and just look how much it means to the Peñarol supporters. I'm honestly very happy for them and their accomplishment, as fans were crying and flares were everywhere, and it even made me get a little emotional, as this must mean a lot to them. But the fairy tale story will have another big barrier they will have to get around, as Botafogo will be their opponent, and they are absolutely on fire. Despite losing to Bahia in the round of 16 in the Brazilian Cup, they are currently leaders in the Brasileiro, and unlike last season, they don't seem to be choking any games, and it's seeming like a very real possibility that they will do the double, as in winning the league and the Libertadores. And man, they certainly deserve it, after last season where they choked away the title. I actually made a video on that, where they threw a historical lead to Palmeiras. And they already got all the difficult teams throughout the schedule, only facing 2 top 6 teams in their last 11 matches of the season. But nobody wants to call Botafogo champions right now, because Palmeiras are already knocked out of every competition except for the league, and they are the team to beat, as they have been champions in back-to-back seasons. But this time, Botafogo may have figured out how to beat Palmeiras, as they would be the ones to knock out Palmeiras in the round of 16 in the Libertadores. It was a crazy 4-3 aggregate thriller that saw Palmeiras almost come back. I mean, they literally had a goal cancelled by VAR in the last moments, and then they hit the post just a minute after, letting Botafogo slip by just a thread. I don't want to skip over Fortaleza again, as even though they were battered in the Sudamericana by Corinthians, they have been very impressive in the league, placing 3rd at the time of making this video. The fact that they are always challenging for the top spots of the table is really awesome, because they are a project team. Being in the 2nd and 3rd divisions just 10 years ago, they have transitioned to a team that was able to make it to a Sudamericana final. Unfortunately, they did lose that match to Quito. However, and I don't think they will win the title, but it seems as though the Libertadores is near for them, and congratulations for that. And I want to head over to the 2nd division for just a moment, and Santos is currently in the top 4, meaning that they are on course to come back to the 1st division, and that is really important as we know just how historic this club is, with it being Neymar and Pele's club. I'm happy for them, and their form is strong right now, winning the last 4 out of 5 games. Okay, well, I went through another exciting month of Brazilian football, and I can't wait to see who comes out on top in each competition. Who do you guys think will win? Let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more videos just like this one.